Hey, Daily Dosers, Chris here. I hope you're off to a great Monday or finishing a great Monday whenever you're watching this. This is going to be a little bit of an odd Monday. You see this past weekend, we talked about what do you do when all hell is breaking loose? We looked at this upper room picture of Jesus and the disciples, and he was preparing them for what was going to be the worst moments of their life. He told them flat out, I tell you, my betrayer is in this room. And it rocked all of them. This is the last night of Jesus' freedom, that last supper with his 12 disciples. And then he said, look, I know who it is. I know what he's about. I know what's going on here. And I'm going to call this out ahead of time so that you may know when it happens that I am God and I am still in charge. And then he tells Judas, he gives him his favor, gives him forgiveness, washes his feet, gives him the seat of honor, gives him the gesture of honor, almost everything to try to talk him out of what he's going to do. And then he tells Judas, then just go and do it quickly. And Judas leaves. In the midst of that, Jesus says, look, here's the plan. Whoever accepts you accepts me, and whoever accepts me accepts God. They're little sentences that just seem to be lost in this upper room scene. And yet, as we saw this weekend, what Jesus was very clearly trying to do is capture the hearts of his followers to let them know all hell is about to break loose, literally, on planet Earth. In fact, hell is about to celebrate for 72 hours. And I want you to know you have a God that is in charge, calling the shots, and not surprised by anything that's going to happen. You see, we look back on that with 2,000 years of history and experience and go, oh yeah, Judas betrayed him, Jesus died on the cross, as just common. But in that night, in that room, the disciples were about to get rocked. The death of their leader and one of their very own, it was at his betrayal. It was going to give them every reason to walk away from the faith, walk away from the entire show. So Jesus was trying to give them everything they need to say, look, when you get to those moments in life, focus on your God and the size of your God, not the size of your problems. And what I said this weekend was, see, you and I see our problems. We don't have 2,000 years of experience after our problems, and we don't have a text that shows me what God is doing. So let me give you one today. Whether you're in a great place in life or a place where you're being rocked, let me give you a text of the size of your God. This man named Job in the Bible, you have to read it on your own, Job chapter 1. He loses his wife, he loses his kids, he loses his home, he loses everything. He's crying out. He has 3 friends that show up, followed by a 4th, and they all say, you're to blame, you must be to blame because God is good. And 31 chapters of this go by before Job calls out to God. In Job 31:15 or Job 31:35, he says, oh, that I had someone to hear me. I will now be my own defense. Let the Almighty answer me. Let my accuser put his indictment in writing. Surely I will wear it on my shoulder. I'm going to put it on like a crown. I will give him account of my every step. Like a prince, I will approach him. Job's done with life. God, I'm going to be my own defense. You show up and you accuse me. If I've done anything wrong, you let me know. But Job is done with his life and he's squaring off against God. I demand you tell me why my life is in the state it's in. And God doesn't give him an answer. God gives Job God. In chapter 38, then the Lord answered Job out of a storm, and he said, who is this that darkens my counsel with words without knowledge? Brace yourself like a man, and I will question you. And now you will have to answer me. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell me if you understand. Who marked off the dimensions of the planet? Surely you know. See, God's being sarcastic. Who stretched a measuring line across it? On what were its footing set? Who laid the cornerstone while the morning stars sang together and all the angels shouted for joy? Who shut up the sea behind its doors when it burst forth out of the womb? When I made the clouds its garment and wrapped it in thick darkness? When I fixed limits for it and set its doors and bars in place? When I said, this is as far as you may come and no further. Here is where your proud waves halt. Have you ever journeyed to the springs of the sea or walked in the recesses of the deep? I'm at verse 17 now. Have the gates of death ever been shown to you? Have you seen the gates of the shadow of death? Have you comprehended the vast expanse of the earth? Tell me if you know all of this, Job. It is 4 chapters that I don't have time to read in the Daily Dose. But God will get into the gestation cycles of animals, the migratory cycles of animals, the size of the planet, the complexity and the chemistry of it, and said, Job, basically, do you have any idea how I pulled off the Big Bang? And Job is speechless at the end of this and simply says, I completely forgot who I was questioning. God never answers Job, why is this happening? Why is my problem so big? God just gives him a bigger glimpse of himself. Today, I encourage you to crawl up with Job chapter 38 on and see the size of your God and maybe the size of your problems will diminish.